You're alive. Yay. Thank you, Father God. A miracle. Bless your holy name. We're a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over right away to my husband. And I'll be right behind him. He has the first hour, and then I have the second class, everybody.
Everyone, good morning or good afternoon, whichever is appropriate, wherever you are. And we thank you so much for joining us every time that you join us, too. It's a very holy and special day today, so it's been it's the third day of Tammuz. And on this day, we lost, really, in every way. We can't see him, but he is with us. This person who was a world leader of Judaism, as we know and saw. We saw with our eyes and heard with something you have to read in the book, because we had the great privilege of experiencing his wonderful leadership all over the world. His whole life is devoted to everyone, not only to the Jewish people, but to the entire world. He showed love for all peoples, and he showed great inspiration for how we can continue the wonderful teachings of our Holy Torah and remain in existence, which is something that some nations don't want us to do. And he was very important with all of these things. He warned us and taught us exactly whom we're dealing with, and that's for today. He foresaw what was going to happen in our generation, in our weeks and months and years that are going on right now. And he warned, amongst the many things, he warned about Iran. And people, of course, didn't listen, and they didn't take it seriously, but he warned over and over again, keep your eye on Iran. They're going to be the greatest danger, as we have found, and we have experienced now. And his wonderful teachings, tremendous amount of Torah literature that he gave and explained to us, much of which I try to transmit to you as well. And unfortunately, after suffering various strokes and terrible illnesses, he was taken from us. But his, like Yaakov Avinu, he is very much alive and inspiring us. And his wonderful shluchim, his wonderful messengers all over the world are transmitting his wonderful teachings and continuing this wonderful work all over the world. Now, he actually lived in Russia too. And he knew of all of its horrible experiences that Jewish people suffered through, the loss of so many Jewish people as well. His predecessor was a great hero for Judaism, because despite the fact that the communist regime, you have the communist regime now, you have the Islam regime now in Iran, you and I can really understand what the previous Rebbe went through, because many people are going through it today as well. The world is still threatened by this horrible Iran, because they have not repented, they have not changed their ways. They just are just waiting till they try it again. So the previous Rebbe, who was really the tremendous influence over his son-in-law, our Rebbe, he was imprisoned in Russia by the communists for insisting on the teaching of Judaism. For them, Judaism in any religion was completely outlawed. Anyone who tried to continue their fulfillment of the religion was placed in grave danger. And, they were very wicked in Russia. It was a very wicked regime, which finally fell apart too. Of course, now you got Putin to deal with, who's no bargain either. But at any rate, he was imprisoned and terribly threatened with guns. He was thrown down the stairs. I'm talking about the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Joseph Isaac Schneerson, and he did not give in. He said the only one to fear is God himself. He threatened him with a gun. He said the only one who is afraid of a gun is someone who has only one world, any false gods. That could be communism too. these false beliefs, like woke and all the other idiocies that we experience today. One who has one world, that's the end of it. Once they're gone, they're gone. And they have many false gods. I have one God and many worlds, because this is not the only world, the world to come, and he didn't allow them in any way. They beat him no matter what they did to him. They could not stop his wonderful intentions and his wonderful work. The Almighty would make it possible. So, very miraculously, with great intervention, and some of his enemies actually were involved too. Instead of, God forbid, continuing him in prison and doing worse things to him as well, he was exiled to a place called Kostroma, which I'm not exactly sure where that is, whether it's Russia, it could even be perhaps Ukraine, I'm not sure, Kostroma. And it is very interesting to note how our Rebbe explains that despite the fact that he was exiled there and being punished for continuing Judaism, right there, well, he was still under their thumb. He still continued to see to it that Jewish children should be introduced to the Torah, that synagogues should be able to function, be it underground or very secretly or whatever. The special pool that is so important in Judaism, the mikvah, where the Jewish woman has to attend in order to be committed to her wife and have her children in a pure manner. He risked his life for these things over and over again. Finally, he was released on the 12th and 13th of Tammuz, which we celebrate this month as well. So today is a very holy day. At least he was, the previous Rebbe was exiled to Kostroma. Our Rebbe went back to our Creator, and he's still here with us and praying for us and helping us with our wonderful work. So it's very important for us to think about this and to do our utmost to put ourselves out for Judaism in order to fulfill our task and our job in this world. We are not threatened, thank God, with our lives or with imprisonment or exile. We're in exile and we're praying for the Almighty to return us with the coming of Mashiach. Today would be a great day for Mashiach to come. Everybody say it together with me. We need Mashiach now. Say it with me. We need Mashiach now. Not just we want Mashiach now, but we need Mashiach now. So very much so. At any rate, we'd like to continue our study. We were learning about the great power, great enormity of the Jewish soul. And the question was, which came first, the Torah or the neshamos, the souls, which are higher, which are a greater holiness and greater level. And until I started learning Chassidus, this sounded so strange to me. What could possibly be holier than the Torah? Nothing could be holier than the Torah. Nothing came before the Torah. We're learning in this Maimon very, very wonderful teachings that will show us that we have a lot of enlightenment to go through, that what we thought was so obvious is not obvious whatsoever, and our original attitude and our original understanding is actually mistaken, as we will learn in this moment. So, as an introduction to this, the previous Rebbe, whose works we're studying today, once again, today's the day he was exiled to Kostroma. At least he was out of prison, but pretty bad treatment there too. Whatever, today is also a holiday for him as well. So we're studying his wonderful works, and he's teaching us such holy studies. You should know it's a privilege to study these things, a great privilege to study these things, because we weren't allowed to. We weren't privy to the secret aspects, the soul of the Torah, the Kabbalah. We weren't allowed to study it. Only people at a saintly level, very pure, high saintly level, and not even all of them were able to study it. This is one of the great accomplishments of the first Lubavitcher Rebbe and his successors going down to the sixth Rebbe. We spoke about the previous Rebbe and our Rebbe, the seventh. that they made these secrets of the Torah. We continue this wonderful work. Go back to the Baal Shem Tov. Go back to the great, great leaders of our people to make this material available to us to inspire us, to be able to learn the secrets of the Torah, to realize that this world that you and I see is very physical, but there's really a greater, much greater spiritual world that's creating it right now with the Almighty's creative powers. Anyways, we're learning about the soul, and to compare the soul to the angels is one of the directions of this mimer. And I learned yesterday some amazing material that helps us understand this mimer. I was studying a mimer of our Rebbe, and there was a reference to the first Lubavitcher Rebbe's work with Torah, who tells us some absolutely amazing things about angels. They're mentioned here, but I'll be honest with you, I misunderstood them. I did not understand and interpret them properly. And here, I hope to spend a few minutes today with the work and the wonderful teachings of our Lubavitcher Rebbeim to have a much deeper understanding of even angels as well. Then we're going to give souls to angels. That's your soul and my soul too. Not just the souls of great, great saintly people like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Rabbi Akiva, and all the great sages that we've learned about, etc., all through the ages, all through time, etc. That there are really great, great things to learn about our soul. So what we had learned was, I know we got into the kitchen last week, and I'll review that very briefly. We're trying to understand what it means by having an appliance or vessel that produces things at different levels. It produces things that are very external and flimsy. It creates things that are more solid and very, very terribly solid. That's what we were learning about, trying to find out the origin of the angels. So we'll review that briefly. I'll read it inside first a little bit, and then we'll review how we went in the kitchen last week. Malachim, angels, Shoroshim, Batzilas. Remember, we learned about the spiritual worlds above us. I call it the spiritual apartment building.
What line, Rabbi
I'm sorry, yeah, line number 130. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention it. Sorry about that. Malachim, Shoroshim, Batzilas, the angels, their root is on the fourth floor of that building. A very holy building where godliness is very, very clearly seen. And on that floor, you have the various rooms that we've spoken about, in which various traits, the trait of kindness, severity, all the 10 sephiros, the 10 creative forces in a special location on that fourth floor. Now, those various appliances and tools, God puts energy in them, and the purpose is to create the lower worlds. There's 4 floors in the basement. So the fourth floor is creating the third floor creates the second floor creates the first floor. That's called the spiritual world of action. And we're in the basement, the physical world. So these holy, going back on the fourth floor, the top floor that we normally speak about, is where the roof of the angels is, and we're going to learn some astounding material about them. And they are created mechitzonis hakelim to esospheres tzitzilas. God has 10 appliances. I call them appliances because just like here on Earth, we plug in the radio, we plug in the fan, we plug in the air conditioner, especially the stove, all these various appliances that we use. They run on electricity. That the whole world runs on God's godly creative force, His godly energy. That's very, very powerful on the fourth floor, especially. High voltage up there, high godly voltage up there. And they're the appliances. They include the things that are creating us right now. They're like 10 appliances that create us. They're called also vessels. I call appliances vessels because you take electricity and you need something, an appliance, to do something with it. They're also on the fourth floor. These vessels are very needed in order to do the creating of the lower worlds and eventually our world. This is happening right now, this very, very second. Not just gracious brother Kim, God did it once, and it's done. It's being done constantly. And we feel Hashem's constant creative force in us, and creating us right this moment and making it possible for us to study this very, very holy material. So we needed some kind of physical examples to get some idea what in the world we're talking about. And I thought and thought and thought. It took me a long time to come up with the kitchen. And I can't promise that it's the best example, but at least it's something you and I can relate to. All of us do a little bit of cooking. Even I do. It's pretty bad, but all of us have done a little bit of cooking in our life. And of course, for the most part, the Jewish woman makes a kosher home with kosher food and wonderful kosher dishes for Shabbos and Yom Tov and even for every day. So we use the example of Friday afternoon. We all smell a delicious, delicious chicken soup for the Friday night Seudah, the Friday night meal. And we get very, very hungry and can't wait until the evening we'll be able to enjoy that soup. What are you getting right now? You can't put it even in your mouth. All you're getting is a delicious, delicious fragrance, a delicious smell. Very external. It's produced by the pot of the appliance, which is cooking the chicken soup. But just the smell itself is very enticing, and it really turns us on. I'm sure that's happened to you as well as it has to me as well. We open up the pot and we want to see what's in there. What's producing this delicious smell? Well, you see liquid. That's going to be the soup. But the soup isn't there all by itself, just plain water. There's spices in there, of course, and there are vegetables to flavor it too. And we'll be enjoying the soup too, but we're hoping to not just have a bowl or two of soup. It's better off if you don't have a second bowl, you won't have room for the rest of the meal. But it's so delicious and so good that you want to have it. And sometimes you have it, people like a clear broth, rather than having all the meat, chicken, or vegetable and something. Just sometimes people want a clear broth. Sometimes medically people have to have it because unfortunately they're undergoing certain challenges, and one of the best foods. I ever hear that the cure-all is chicken soup. Maybe you heard that years ago too. It was very true years ago also. So at any rate, tasting just a clear broth is delicious. If you dig down in the pot a little bit deeper, you get these vegetables, which are also flavoring the soup, and they have absorbed also the flavor of the main star of the show. The star of the show is the chicken or meat that's at the bottom of the pot. So the deeper you deep, the more substantial you get. So we're learning about appliances that are very spiritual, that are on the top floor, and they're creating right now too. The fragrance from this wonderful holy pot, the fragrance, the external holiness that's coming out from the vessels of Atzilus, from the pots and Atzilus, using that very coarse expression. That's what creates the angels. I thought they're so holy. I thought they're so powerful. I thought they operate everything here on earth. They're God's special messengers, etc. Look at how from a very, very surfacey, external, flimsy source they come. Just the external aspects of these vessels, these appliances. We'll compare that with the neshama soon. So the roots of the angels on page 130, line 1, are in this fourth floor. From the external parts of these appliances and pots, I'll call them in Atzilus, and neshamos, yours and my souls, over in Derech Pnimis Akelim Atzilus. We got to deep down into the pot, deep down into the holy appliance of Atzilus to find where we come from. So you can see that our souls, right from their very origin, are much greater than the angels that you and I can only imagine about. We'll get more information about them soon. The Kelim Atzilus, the vessels of Atzilus, that's these tools that God uses on the fourth floor to create all the worlds, including this one right now. They're so holy, they're godly. these appliances that we're talking about on that fourth floor, they are godly because they're so holy. Elokus mamish. With all this, in the Pneumius Hakli, Muvdil, the inner aspects, like dig down to the meat, dig down to the bottom of the pot, the inner aspects of Muvdil Be'erach Mechitzonis Hakli, as you and I could see from our example. The meat which is cooking at the bottom of the pot, that's very substantial. You can put in your mouth because you can chew it, etc. It makes you feel satisfied. The soup will fill you up, and it won't make you feel satisfied. The meat will give you a feeling of satisfaction because it's mamoshes. It's much more substantial. That's where our souls are coming through the inner aspects, the deeper and the deeper in the pot. He says the outer aspects of